Peace, everybody. Peace. Happy Thursday. Hello, 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 hello. Facebook land, YouTube. Peace, beautiful Brenda. I've missed you. It's been a minute since I've been on. I've been super busy while I wait for people to come in. Because I have a lot to share today. I'll keep it as brief as possible. But I've been working on the womb wellness course. We have the Blooming Womb Wellness course. It's an interactive course that basically you embark upon a womb wellness journey. You have a workbook, you have your modules, you have a journal. Basically, you have accountability in your womb wellness journey. I know I've started a lot of things in the past, and I didn't hold myself accountable because I didn't like really have the support that I felt like I needed or whatever, or like there wasn't anything like tying me to that thing. So this is such an amazing course. It teaches you the importance of womb wellness. That's what I'm all about. Gives you so many recipes and tips, and just it's filled with a lot of goodness. So I've been busy with that, so I hadn't been on. So I'm happy to come on today. I missed you guys, especially you, Mrs. Bird Gang. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's truly been that's my newest baby. I'm always birthing things. That's my newest baby. All right, y'all. So let's jump into it. Let's get into it. It is World Breastfeeding Awareness Month. Forgive the smoke detector. It's lit. Like literally, we don't know how to change the battery. It's very complex, fancy, but nonetheless, we can get through it, right? Small things to a goddess. But anywho, it's World Breastfeeding. Well, we just finished World Breastfeeding Week. So this entire month, we're basically bringing awareness to breastfeeding around the world. And for me, breastfeeding is something that was new to my family. I am a mother of 6. My oldest is 21. He's about to be 21. And my youngest is 1. So yeah. With my first 4 children, I did not breastfeed. I didn't have the awareness. I did not have the education, and in my family, that was something that really we didn't do. It wasn't something that was common. So I was like, yeah, let's not do that. I really initially associated with it being sexual. Like, I don't want a baby sucking on my boob. And I was young. I had my first child when I was 15. So it was a lack of really education. And there weren't a lot of people in my community providing education on breastfeeding. Most of the people that breastfed teen mothers is because their mothers breastfed. And that's why it's really important that we get the education in the homes, because when children, or when we learn things or see things as a norm as kids, we tend to adapt to those belief systems. And breastfeeding is a great belief system to adapt to. So yes. Peace, then peace. So anywho, I did not breastfeed with the first 4. I bottle fed, and with baby number 5, I birthed at a birthing center. So breastfeeding was part of it. We had to take a breastfeeding education class. So peace, fam. And so they taught us about breastfeeding, and there I first learned the benefits of breastfeeding. Here I was, a registered nurse, a mom of soon to be 5, did not know the expansiveness, the magic of breastfeeding. And I was just blown away. I was like, I have to do this. And at the time I was dairy free. So I was like, alternative, and soy wasn't in my diet. So my baby couldn't drink dairy milk or soy milk. So I was like, we have to do this breastfeeding thing. We have to be successful. So I dived in and I became educated on it. And I was successful with my first breastfeeding journey. And I breastfed him till he was 3. Don't trip out, y'all. Wait, I'm gonna explain, because a lot of people be like, are you freaking kidding me? wait, because a lot of people are like, that baby is way too big. That you don't feed a child past when they have teeth. You don't breastfeed. There's so many misconceptions, and that is why I'm here today to just kind of bust those myths and just kind of shed light onto why we do these types of things. And sometimes we judge things without getting the rationale behind them. So I'm going to take the time today to just kind of explain some of these things so that we don't make decisions or judge people out of our subconscious beliefs, or maybe something that somebody told us, or our personal beliefs. A lot of people will just judge not knowing. So yes, let's jump into it. Oh yeah, I breastfed him till he was 3, and then I became pregnant with his little sister. My milk changed back into colostrum when I was getting ready to deliver her. So he was like, what is this? Don't want it no more. He's self-weaned. He does not breastfeed. He does not take in any breast milk anymore. But his 1-year-old sister is still very actively breastfeeding. Yes. Oh, and what makes me qualified to even give these 5 to bust these 5 myths? I have my own personal breastfeeding journey, which makes experiences one of the best qualifiers, right? Because when you go through something, you can share that experience with others. You can relate to that thing better, right? So you can share what you learned or what your the do's and the don'ts a little better than someone who doesn't have experience. So experience is one of my qualifiers. And the other qualifier is I am a certified lactation counselor. So I sat for the exam. I became certified. I learned so much in this amazing course. So I wanted to share this stuff with you guys. I share it with my clients all the time. What better way to ring in World Breastfeeding Awareness Month? So let's dive in. I've been sitting for 5 minutes, but y'all know I love to talk. That's why y'all here, of course. All right. So first myth I wanted to bust is pumping as soon as the baby is born is needed. Do you know how many mamas come to me and they're like, Z, my breasts are so full. I don't know what to do. They hurt. I am so tired because I'm up pumping, and when baby is sleeping, I'm having to pump, and then baby gets up and then I'm nursing, and I'm like, well, why are you pumping? They're like 1, 2, 3 weeks postpartum. And mind you, the milk doesn't really maturely come in until about day 14, sometimes day 21, depending on what's going on. And I mean the full milk, meaning the whole milk that has the good fats and all that, because it's converting as baby grows. So yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, they're pumping very, very early in their breastfeeding journey, and it's because they're already anticipating going back to work, or there's someone at home that wants to help to feed the baby, which it has a great intention. It's a good intention behind that. They want to bond with baby. They want to bond with baby, and they also want to give mom a break. However, that's not really how nature works. Baby needs to acclimate to mama first. There'll be time. And Mrs. Bergay saying, I can't pump at all. It's too frustrating. Listen to me, sis. I could not wait to work from home so that I could throw their pump one way, like throw it out the window. Like we was riding home from the airport. I'm getting ready to chunk it because I felt like a cow. I felt like I was being milked, and the flange, it was so many parts. You got to put it together. You got to break it down. You got to clean the parts. You got to store the milk. That is work, especially for a mama who just had a baby. So in addition to her healing her body, growing mature milk, producing mature milk, her body is working to make mature milk. And let me tell you, breastfeeding is nothing easy, baby. It takes more energy to pump your heart. I mean, to make breast milk than it does to pump your heart. So it requires less energy to pump your heart than it does to make breast milk. All right. So a mom is going through all of this, and you're going to add the added chore of including a breast pump. Let's just try to avoid it for as long as we can, because what happens is the body responds to supply and demand. So the body at this point doesn't know if you had twins, triplets, whatever. The breasts don't know how much milk to make. All right. So that is solely dependent upon how often baby nurses. So when you're pumping, it's mimicking baby nursing. So the body is like, let's make more milk. Let's keep making more milk. We got to keep making more because you're emptying the breast. And that means that you're gonna be walking around looking like Dolly Parton. Real talk. You're gonna have some real big breasts because they're gonna fill up really quickly because the body is like, we got to keep up with the demand. So your body, and especially during the first 6 weeks, is still working to establish how much milk you need to supply baby with what they need. In order to do that, one thing has to happen is you have to be close to baby. You have to be bonding with baby and connected to baby and feed on demand, meaning that you're not using a bottle or like a pacifier, things like that, because one, it can confuse the baby. Like, it's all, the baby is still acclimating to so many new things, and you're putting the nipples into place, so the baby doesn't know what's mama's nipple, what's this nipple, and God forbid the baby likes the bottle nipple better than your nipple. They're going to stop taking in the milk. They stop taking in the milk, you're going to stop making milk. And then there's the breastfeeding journey. It's supply and demand. So we have to be mindful and really, really become educated when it comes to breastfeeding, because there's so many, it is very simple, but there's so many things that have been just kind of thrown into the place with westernized things that it makes it complicated, and it is not. And that's one of our myths, but we're going to get into that in a minute. But yeah, a lot of moms will always say, I'm pumping, I need to start pumping and storing milk. And that's really out of conditioning, because they're already preparing. I want a successful breastfeeding journey. I want to make sure my baby has enough milk when they go to daycare, when they go to grandma's house. So they're already planning that. But that is the first 3 weeks, especially, is not the time to start planning that, because you want to first get your baby acclimated to the breast, get the latch good, let the baby get really acclimated to the breast, and like get a really good latch so that you can get your milk really flowing in good, because the baby latching works far better than any pump ever will. All right, so the body recognizes baby. That's what's going to increase your supply. That's what's going to communicate your body to baby. If baby gets any kind of illnesses or anything like that, your breasts are going to pick up on that with those receptors in the areola, start making milk immediately. And then your breast milk is going to automatically develop a cure. That is why it takes so much energy to make this stuff. It is literally liquid gold. All right. So that is our first myth, that I have to pump as soon as I get home. No, you won't. If you want to start implementing a pumping routine, wait around week 4 after you've already established some type of relationship with baby. I would highly suggest waiting until week 6. But week 4, if you really have to get back to work, because I know 6 weeks people are already headed back to work, which is very unfortunate for a breastfeeding journey, because numbers plummet when people go back to work, because sometimes the employers don't give the mamas a place to pump. Sometimes it's not sanitary. Sometimes it's just too much, and mom is like, this is way too much, and I give in, because she's given all of these added tasks in addition to making milk, in addition to healing her postpartum body. And she's like, damn, I'm tired. And she's throwing in the towel. So that is the first myth. Second myth is, and if y'all got any questions, please hit up the comment section. I would really, really, really love to dive in and see what y'all breastfeeding journey looked like, and how long you breastfed, and how many babies you breastfed with. Did you have a lactation consultant? What was your support? Come on, chime in, y'all. Talk to me. Talk to me. All right. What is my second one? Oh, a big one. I don't make enough milk. Oh my God. If I had $1 for every time I heard somebody say this, listen, I would be on a yacht in the island somewhere, baby. I'm talking paid and wealthy, because it's such a misconception. I don't make enough milk. Partially, people feel like they don't make enough milk because they can't measure how much baby is drinking. As opposed to, if you got a bottle, you can put the ounces in the bottle and you can see if baby's drunk, drunken. You know what I'm trying to say? 1 ounce, 2 ounces, 3 ounces. You can't do that with the breast. We don't have the measuring cup in the boob. So you have to solely rely upon bonding with your baby. All right. One being that if baby is peeing and pooping, likely getting enough breast milk, because little bitty babies become dehydrated very, very, very fast. All right. And if you ain't seeing no PP diapers, especially PP diapers, like say for instance, baby is 4 days old, baby should be making 4 PP diapers a day. Baby's 5 days old, baby should be making 5 PP diapers. And that goes up until about 10 days. And then you want to make sure that baby's regularly peeing. You're changing a diaper at least every couple of hours. That means baby is hydrated, and that means baby is getting enough milk. But sometimes people confuse the baby being fussy with not getting enough milk. Not true. Babies can only communicate through crying. How else can they communicate with you? They can't talk yet. So a fussy baby does not necessarily mean a hungry baby. A hungry infant is usually a sleepy infant because their blood sugar is low. And so they're sleepy and tired and they don't have the energy to cry. All right. So a hungry baby is usually a sluggish, sleepy baby, and a full baby has energy and they're active and they're talking. And sometimes they cry because they go through growth spurts. And through that growth spurt, they may eat a lot, which some people may say, this baby is eating so much. They must not be getting enough. No, they're growing. And they're also telling your body how much milk you need to make for them. And this is what I need. And this is what's going on in my gut. They're communicating with you. They're brand new. Your body has to get acclimated to your breastfeeding journey. Your baby has to get acclimated to the breast. So they're going to be in constant communication. So them constantly feeding is a good thing. Just as long as you're seeing them poopy and pee-pee diapers. Now let's talk about poopy diapers. You may not see as many poopy diapers with breastfed babies, especially in the beginning, because breast milk is absolute, meaning there's very little waste. So they may not poop that often, but as long as the stools aren't hard and baby's not crying, trying to go to the bathroom, then there's no issue there. All right. Oh, Mrs. Bergang says, I breastfed all 4 of my babies, but this last one is just stuck to me. She won't eat food at all. How old is she? Listen, if she breast milk is a whole food and it's raw, y'all. It comes out at the perfect temperature. You don't have to, and that's another thing when you're pumping is you have to store the breast milk and you usually have to put it in the refrigerator or the freezer. If you reheat it, it loses the nutrients. So it's not as potent as it once was. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still that 5. It's still that 5, but it's not as potent as it once was simply because it's been reheated. It's not a raw food anymore. It's now processed. Makes sense. So babies like to get it straight from the tap. And I don't blame the baby. Like if I can go pick my fruit straight from the tree, who wouldn't? That organic stuff, right? She'll be 1 on Sunday. Yeah, okay. She's my little sweet fruit, she's 1, and she's stuck to the boob too. She's now being introduced to solid food and she's doing really, really well with it. But her about 70% of her diet is breast milk still. Yep. And we are having a very, very wonderful breastfeeding journey. She nurses maybe about 4 or 5 times throughout the day. Probably about 5 or 6 times throughout the day, but she nurses very quickly because she's more efficient with it now. Yes, she has teeth and she's nursing. Actually, it's very good that we're nursing when she has teeth because it's helping those bones to grow in really, really well. And when I drink my tea, she's also getting the benefits of those nutrients. So that's one of the reasons why I breastfeed in late stages, because the immunity that it provides the baby and the development. And I told you with my first 4, I did not breastfeed, and I can compare the development with the last 2 and the first 4. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I feel like even the digestive issues, the issues with allergies and things like that, they aren't present as they were in the first 4. So absolutely. Peace, 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 queen. Peace. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. All right, so let me not get on a tangent. There's so many benefits, though, to late stage breastfeeding. It's not for everybody. Some people choose to pump and then give the baby the milk there. But the immunity, the development, the bonding is something that I value. And while I'm not one to breastfeed probably around past the age 3, just simply because I feel like they've developed enough of them to be able to be, what they need to be at that point. We're not going to get into like the specifics because I'm going to get back to these myths. But I was very pleased with the benefits of late stage breastfeeding, and they're expansive. So I highly suggest you do your research. Maybe I'll even do a podcast on it at some point. All right, so let's jump back into it, y'all. So we talked about pumping. You don't have to pump as soon as you get home. That's highly not suggested. It can make things very difficult and very uncomfortable for you because your milk is going to come in really, really quickly. And it's an added chore. Pumping is a whole job. Oh, it's a whole job. Breastfeeding is already a lot to do. Yeah. And back to, I don't make enough milk. My bad, y'all. So people are saying that they can't measure the milk, so they don't know how much baby is getting. So if baby is pooping, peeing on a regular basis, like I just stated, not necessarily saying baby is quiet and content, that may not happen. That's how they communicate, but that's not always an indicator that baby isn't getting enough. So don't automatically go to you're not making enough. That is a lack of education, and we need to not automatically think that you are enough. Your body is designed to do this, designed to do it. In fact, usually the people who don't truly make enough milk, which is a very small percent of the population, is because they've either had surgery in the breast area, or there was some type of disease that kind of created some malfunctions or dysfunctions of the milk ducts. But other than that, it's usually barriers that created you being separated from baby, or that communication wasn't there, or that education wasn't there, and you didn't make enough milk in response to that. But you're saying, I don't make enough milk. That is very rarely the case, and I can speak personally from my journey in teaching and educating, that there's very few people that I've actually only one person that couldn't physically breastfeed, and that was because of a surgery. All right. So another thing is, like I said, pumping can interfere. It can be overwhelming, and when you go back to work, like having to take that whole. I remember having to take my pump to work, and like I had to determine what clothes I was going to wear because I knew I had to pump. You wear a dress and you got to pump. You're probably going to be somewhere in somebody pumping room butt naked, or wherever they have their mother's room, and you may have to share that space. So I would have to like determine what I was going to wear. Then I had to clean and sanitize the parts. I had to store the milk at work. And I'm like, people go in and out of this refrigerator. My baby's milk is in here. It just was too much. And that's when I decided I needed to work from home. And that was a turning point for me, because I wasn't willing to sacrifice my baby's nutrition for a job. They come and they go. So I decided to find another place of work, and that's what I did. I went to work from home, and that allowed me to have a exclusive breastfeeding journey, meaning that baby didn't use a bottle, but just drinking from the milk. Drinking from the breast after I transferred to working from home. So if you can, that's another thing you want to think about if you want to exclusively breastfeed. Bullying. um I remember like my elders back at home in Memphis when I came home, some of them had not ever seen what it looked like for a baby to latch onto a breast and breastfeed. And that was mind blowing for me. And while they were intrigued, they were also very judgmental because they were triggered by it. They were like, because a lot of things are against breastfeeding. People think that it's sexual. People think that, it's just so much miseducation. So I don't know what specifically they were going through, but it came across as them judging me, saying, oh, you need to put your breast up, you need your breast not to be out. But they're associating the breast with this sexual thing when it's truly a tool of feeding your child. And I felt bullied. And so I at the time didn't have the courage to stand up for myself. And then I also wanted to respect the space of others. I covered myself, but that's not fair because nobody asks you to cover your face while you're eating. And now baby's uncomfortable trying to breathe through this dang on thing, and you trying to adjust it. Just one more thing for mama to do. Like, let mama feed her baby in peace, and let's not let her be a spectacle. This is a normal thing. While society thinks that is not the norm anymore, or bottle feeding is more common, let's not bully the mother who's choosing to breastfeed for whatever reason. And so I got a lot of judgment for that, especially like breastfeeding openly. But if you in my house, baby, you better get prepared to see the boobs, because they are my baby's primary source of nutrition. And your beliefs and whatever you think, you're going to have to deal with that. That's not my problem. And I say that with the most highest form of respect, and asking that you return the same to me. All right. So bullying, and then people saying like, oh, you're the only one that's feeding the baby, you don't get to we want to hold the baby too, but that's that we want to shower love towards mother and not have her pick between your feelings and how you feel like you should be included and the baby's nutrition. Let's let baby's nutrition come first, because they need to bond and be together and really be one, especially in those first few weeks, because separation can mean a decline in the supply. So we need to just kind of be mindful when we're like saying, oh, we want to be included. We want you to be included, but we also want mom to have a successful breastfeeding journey for so many reasons. Ms. Burgain says, when I work with my older two, they would drink what I pumped. They wouldn't drink what I pumped at all. They waited until I got home from work. Nurse, they wanted it to tap. Can you blame them? It comes at the perfect temperature. It has everything they need. Come on now, who wouldn't? And then you got to go and heat that breast milk. If I don't even taste the same, you done stored it in the container. You know how stuff is. Like if you have it fresh as opposed to, having to heat it up. So I don't blame the babies. I'm with them. But I did the same thing. Like I had a surplus of milk in my refrigerator from pumping, and I didn't want it to go bad, so I started adding it to baby's baths, and it's so full of fat, kind of like goat's milk, but like on steroids, that it makes the baby's skin so soft and supple. And it's also medicine, cures so many things: eye infections, ear infections, bug bites, you name it, breast milk, eczema. It's amazing. But also, while we're talking about surplus, little caveat here, let me just take a little turn. When y'all see all of these people storing breast milk in their refrigerator, don't feel like that's something you have to do. That's why a lot of people start pumping right off the get-go too, because they have this image in their mind that they need to have this big surplus. No, you don't. Some people produce an oversupply for some reason, and that is not fun. But unless you like selling breast milk, some people do that. They slang breast milk for good money too, by the way. But you don't have to have this big surplus. Usually if baby's even going out to daycare or whatever, you can pump maybe a day or so ahead of time. You can get the exact calculations, get a lactation counselor or consultant, and they can help you calculate how many ounces you'll actually need for baby, or kind of predict that based upon baby's eating patterns. And that way you can produce enough, but you don't need to have freezers and freezers full of breast milk. God, no. That's a lot of work, and it's really not necessary. It's not. All right, back on topic, y'all. Back on topic. Lack of support. People sometimes got questions. I had so many questions, and my only resource was a Facebook group. Thank you to Black Breastfeeding Moms, because that got me through. I refer all of my clients to that support group. Support is vital. You need to speak and see and connect with people who are on the same journey, because sometimes you get tired. Sometimes you don't have answers. Sometimes you hit roadblocks and you need resources. Sometimes peer resources are the best. So get in like groups and things like that. But a lot of people don't have support. But I had a best friend who had a breastfeeding journey. I reached out to her and she helped me, because I was like, do I got to pump like this all the time? And she was like, yes, sis, you can do it. I was so sad. I did not like pumping. And she was like, just bear through it. It's okay. And she was my support, as opposed to that, and in addition to that Facebook group, because I had moved away from my tribe from Florida and moved to Georgia. So I had to like call upon whoever I had. And thank you to Misha. I love you, baby, because without you, I don't think I would have been successful, because you gave me so much support on days where I felt like I didn't know nothing. And I made mistakes when I was breastfeeding on my own, because I did not know. And I felt like, this stuff was common. Pain. That's another misconception. It's supposed to hurt when you breastfeed. No, if it hurts, you need to unlatch baby and relatch. Baby, it's still becoming acclimated to the breast. And sometimes they get real hungry and they'll just latch on the first time they get. And it's shallow. And that hurts. And if baby constantly feeds with a shallow latch, it's going to make that, very tender breast tissue sore. Very, very sore. And you're going to be, and every time baby, and sometimes it can crack and peel. And moms are just in pain. I was in agony. And I didn't know about a latch. It was trial and error. And then I became educated. And with baby number 6, I did not have one bit of pain with my breastfeeding journey, not one bit, because it's not supposed to hurt. If it's hurting, it's usually a latch issue. And you need to reach out. You need to just relatch baby for one, just retry. And if it's constantly being an issue and you feel like I can't go on, but I really want to continue this journey, reach out to a lactation counselor. Reach out to your community's WIC office. They usually have lactation counselors there for you. And then breastfeeding groups on Facebook and social media like that are a wealth, definitely a wealth. But yes, pain will deter you as well, but it's not supposed to hurt. Lack of support can deter you, lack of resources. Also, our labor and birthing interventions. I promise you, Z wants you to birth the way that you feel best, that you feel is right and safe and 100 for you and your baby. However, know that a lot of these interventions have repercussions, especially things like epidurals and C-sections. Why? Because it interferes with the communication between your body and your pregnancy. Basically, it's numbing you. So you don't really feel any pain. You don't really feel anything in your body. That means your body's not communicating. Those receptors have been turned off. And what that does, it puts them to sleep. And when you come off of that medication, it can take a little bit for those receptors to wake up. Um, Adding on to that, baby is also receiving these narcotics that you'll be receiving if you're getting a C-section and an epidural, and they can be sleepy. A sleepy baby isn't going to give a really strong latch most of the time because they have to wait for that medication to get out of their system. Another thing is, if you had a C-section, sometimes you have to go into recovery and baby is separated from you for a period of time. Why do I say all of this? The first hour of life when the baby is born is called the golden hour. Any separation between that first hour, whether it be putting eye drops in the baby eyes, whether it be moving the baby physically away from mom, it needs to be direct skin to skin that entire time. Because that is what lets your body knows, I had a baby. My baby is here and present. Let's make milk. That's what helps your body start to contract and produce oxytocin that helps you to bond with your baby, that helps your baby to bond with you. It strengthens your baby. It strengthens you. Okay? So that's very important that the baby connect with mom during that first hour. And if it's interfered through the use of medication, separation, or misfeedings, then that milk doesn't come in like it needs to. There's a delay. And not saying that the milk won't come in eventually, but during that delay, baby still has to eat. So baby, and if you're in the hospital, they're going to check baby's blood sugar. Baby blood sugar start dropping too low because of the milk not coming in. They're going to start supplementing with formula. All right. So you don't have a whole lot of time for milk to be coming in before people start giving up on you on your breastfeeding journey in most cases. And also baby has to eat. So that delay, it can kind of wreak havoc, but kind of just I don't want to tell you not to choose these things, but to be mindful of these things going in, and not necessarily saying I didn't make enough milk, but and sharing that with people. Well, I didn't make enough milk, and that kind of puts it in people's mindset that they can't make enough milk. Well, you can share your breastfeeding journey, but don't deter others. Just kind of, if you will, reflect on things that maybe could have gone wrong other than your body didn't produce enough milk, because that's likely what didn't happen. It didn't produce enough milk because of barriers that may have been put into place. All right. All right. So speaking about Mrs. Vergain said, I got that too with some family and friends. My mom couldn't stand me nursing, but she's on with it now. People have to adjust. And sometimes we have to separate ourselves from family or people who don't support our breastfeeding journey because we have to do what's best for our little ones, right? They're what matters. Is their health. If that's what we choose. If we don't choose to breastfeed, then so be it. There's people out here that are alive and well and healthy and they didn't breastfeed, okay? I'm not judging or bashing anybody who didn't. But at the same time, let's not judge or bash anybody who chooses to breastfeed. That's not fair. That's not fair. And we don't go around telling a mom who's feeding a baby out of a bottle, let's cover that baby's face. Don't do that. Don't do her like that. And mamas are usually very, very fragile in the postpartum period too. She has enough on her plate and she does not need you judging her journey or her decision. All right. So yeah, family members can be judgmental, and that can mean putting up boundaries. Check out my boundary video. All right. I even heard stories about people giving the baby milk undercover, like secretly giving the baby formula because they don't agree or they don't think the breast milk is enough. Those are all boundary violators, and that's not okay. That's not okay. All right. Let's get back to it, y'all. Our next key point is colostrum is not enough. I hear so many mamas day 1, day 2, day 3 postpartum saying, I don't think I'm making enough milk. I'm just getting this thick stuff that's coming out. Well, the baby's belly is about the size of a marble. Not to mention the baby was probably full off of amniotic fluid while they were born. So they're probably not even hungry. When a baby is latching, when they first come out, it's to establish a connection, not to feed and nurse. So baby usually isn't going to have a really good feed until about day 2. So even that colostrum, just a little bit of it is concentrated. It's like breast milk on steroids. And just a little bit goes a long way with a tiny infant. Again, you don't want to look at the colostrum and say it's not enough. The baby's stomach is not like your stomach. We're going to look at how much the baby pees and how much the baby poops. And in the long term, the weight. If is baby gaining weight, if a baby is good and fed when they're breastfed, they're going to be putting on weight, especially during those first 4 months. They're going to be putting on weight really, really quickly. And that's a key indicator too. But short term, you can look at the pee and poo poo diapers. All right. So colostrum is enough. Mr. Bergang said, I walked through the stores nursing, get a lot of strength congratulating me on my journey. And they were happy seeing me nursing in public. It felt really good. I bet. Listen, I hear so many stories that are negative. So it's really, really refreshing to hear a positive story that people are actually congratulating you on it, because it's so many benefits and people are becoming more educated. So they really know like this, they're changing their mindset, and that means the world, and it makes you feel supported. Thank you for sharing that, love. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes. Um, I don't want to butcher your name, but you are absolutely gorgeous. It says absolutely, and what works for you may not work for others. You are absolutely right. For Sola, I know I probably pronounced that part right, but you have a beautiful picture. But for Sola, okay. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name correctly, but absolutely, you have to. No journey, in my opinion, in this life is individualized. It's always something that's going to differ from somebody else's. I think if we release the judgment, and as long as you're not being hurt in the process, like physically beat up, leave people alone. Let people do what works best for them without judgment. Oh, she said, oh, you're 7 months and you're still fragile. My baby turned, let me see, May, June, July, August. My baby is 15 months, my youngest. And I'm just getting back to myself. You took an entire 10 months to grow a baby. Not 9, 10. And those hormones, so many hormones were in place while you were moody. That's why you grew the baby. That's why you got a placenta. All of that was hormones. So when you go and have a baby, automatically that placenta is delivered. Hormones are shifty. So it really takes just about that same 10 months, if not more, for you to get yourself established. And God forbid, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not getting the nutrition that we need, we can set ourselves back, and the healing process could be even longer. So 7 months is completely overstandable for sure, because it takes a while. Oh my goodness, she said it's me too. Look, I love you so much. She said, I jumped over to you. That's what I'm talking about. My sister supports me, baby. She said, it's me. I'm on YouTube. Listen, I see the picture and I just see glamorous, and I'm always just captivated by your beauty. She said, I'm over here on YouTube, baby. I got you on both channels. I love you so much for that. Thank you for the support. You support me since like day one in so many ways. And yes, she, like, me and Tiff are connected in so many ways. We're both doulas. She's a part of the Blooming Lotus tribe. She just had a baby. She's on a breastfeeding journey. Like, she's amazing. And yeah, I love you so much. She said, I'm over here on YouTube, baby. I got you. That's what I'm talking about. That's what support looks like. I love it. All right. So let's get back to it, y'all. And we talked a little bit about breastfeeding hurts. It shouldn't hurt. That's another misconception. Just touching back on that, it should not hurt. It can be a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning, but if it's hurting, there's usually a latch issue. Sometimes there's a tongue tie. And if either of those are taking place, wherever you gave birth or whoever helped you give birth should be able to steer you in the direction of getting resources and support to help you on your journey, because it should not hurt. And usually it's a positioning issue. Usually we're waiting too long to feed baby, and baby's really hungry and they latch on with the most shallow latch just because they want milk right then and there. Usually very simple things. And a lactation counselor or consultant can easily help you get that fixed. And they usually aren't very expensive at all. All right. And the last myth, y'all, before I head out of here, is breastfeeding is not convenient. Yes, it is definitely hard work, as affirmed by the goddess Brenda. However, as opposed to bottle feeding, especially in the immediate postpartum period, the first 6 weeks, it's light work, baby. because you don't have to get up out of your bed to go warm up a bottle. You ain't got to clean no bottles. You ain't even got to buy no bottles. The bottle is your boob. Okay. So all you got to do is pop that thing out, roll over, especially if you're co-sleeping. I co-slept with all of my kids. And yeah, it's easy as opposed to having to get up. But hey, you and daddy over there fighting and flipping the coin over who gonna make the bottle. Been there, done it. And you tired. It gives you an added chore. And then you have to go and purchase the milk. The milk is expensive, and it's not. I ain't gonna say that, but the milk is we're having a lot of issues with the milk right now. It's hard to come by. You got to go find it. All it is, and the babies were going hungry. So don't even put yourself in it. It's not easy. I mean, it's not harder to breastfeed than it is to bottle feed. It is not. And it's free. You're getting how often in life do you get the best of the best for free? Without buying it. That's like love. That's like the best thing, like literally. Like you don't have to pay for this, and it's catered directly to your baby. Your breast milk changes throughout the day. Your breast milk changes as your baby grows. Your breast milk changes if baby has an illness. It is amazing. Formula doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. And the digestive system, especially for little ones, are their immune system. And studies have shown like babies that bottle feed don't have nearly as many good bacteria or microbe that can microbe. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. The bacteria that lives in the gut. The baby doesn't have as much. The breastfed babies have a lot more than the bottle fed babies because the milk is catered specifically for them. Specifically for them. It's custom. Custom for free. Come on. She said baby boy was 5 pounds at birth and double his weight at 4 weeks. Okay, look at that. Look at that. That breast milk is the best option. And I know a fed baby, that's wonderful and great, but what's going on with the milk? In fact, most of my like high-end clients that I work with, they get their milk from Europe. Well, they were. I don't know about now. I work with some pretty high-end clients in Colorado, and that's where they got their milk from because they said the quality of milk here, the formula was poor. That was long before the formula, whatever is going on with the formula with the contamination. So yeah, I could go on and on about this. A little bit of backstory about formula before I get out of here. I have to tell this story because it's World Breastfeeding Awareness Month. Okay, so listen if you will. Little fun facts about formula, and I'm not picking on formula feeders. I fed 4 of my children formula, so I ain't knocking you. I promise you I'm not, but I want you to be educated so you can make an informed decision because a lot of this stuff just is not out there, okay? So some misconceptions is that cow's milk is the best and it's superior because it's a cow's milk and it's full of vitamin D and calcium and all of that stuff. No. Formula came about when women were returning to work because most of the men were at war. So they had to have a convenient way of feeding their child and being away from the baby. So that's when formula was being introduced, right? And when about the same time, there was a surplus of dairy in the country. So really, they were just really trying to get rid of the mass amounts of dairy. So they decided to implement formula because so many people were buying it. It was a hot commodity and put dairy in it. Secondly, if you're back and I'm 35. I can't digest dairy. My body doesn't digest dairy very well at all. So imagine a baby with an immature gut. The last 2 things to develop on the baby is their lungs and their digestive system. You're going to put cow's milk in the baby's belly, which is full of fat, full of so many things it's hard to digest. And expect like not to have diarrhea or constipation. Like it's cow's milk. I can go on for days. It's just really hard to digest. It's really hard to digest. And then they give the alternative to soy, and soy mimics estrogen in the body. So if the baby is a girl and she has excessive estrogen, that can really wreak havoc on her reproductive system. If a baby boy gets too much estrogen, God knows what happens because it's really not natural. So some unnatural things can happen in the because you're using, having the formula. So if you're going to um, get a formula, I would say, if it has to be, I would say amino acid based formula, which is really, really expensive. But this is just my my take on it. You have to do what's best for you. And if formula works best for you, I commend you. You are still a wonderful, great mother. I'm not judging, no judgment here. I did it too. But just weighing the pros and the cons, I decided to move forward with breastfeeding moving forward. So cow's milk isn't all that nutritious. In fact, it creates a lot of mucus in the body. But I'm not going to get on this dietary teaching today. Second thing is with formula, it is the sugar content. There's a lot of sugar, and it has a lot of inorganic things like cornstarch and stuff like that. That's really hard to digest. So sometimes our babies end up with like eczema or constipation, or they're not tolerating the feeds by throwing up a lot. And it's if you eat something bad, you're going to throw it up, right? So that's letting you know your baby's rejecting those things. So if that's happening, then you want to just kind of see what your options are. But anywho, let's move on. She said your milk would adjust to you and your baby's well-being, even when baby isn't feeling well. Absolutely, positively. Anytime like if there's any kind of anything a baby's been exposed to, and I think it's really important, especially when babies start crawling and touching stuff and putting everything in their mouth, they encounter a lot of germs and bacteria. Well, when they encounter these things and they nurse from their mouth, it communicates with the breast and saying, hey, we need to start making some antibodies for this. We need to start making medicine. And then your breast milk will change to make sure that it's fighting whatever pathogen is present. So I just feel like that's absolutely amazing. And that's another reason why I continued breastfeeding later on when the baby, after they started walking or whatnot. I talked to my older two about cow's milk last night. They didn't believe me. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I ain't judging though. I ain't judging. Some people can still like drink it and I have issues, but me and my tribe, like we don't do any dairy products because it wreaked havoc on my reproductive system, my digestive system, my thyroid. I just couldn't have it like that. So yeah. Cow's milk is full of sugar and it's meant for a cow. We ain't cows. Our babies are much, 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 much smaller than cows. So we're giving them a gigantic task to digest this stuff. Anyway, if anybody is out there needing any kind of lactation support, please reach out to me. I've got my website tickering. Is that a word? On the bottom of the ticker, doulaz.podia.com, and you can see like all of the classes that I offer. Also, bloominglotusbirthingservices.com. bloominglotusbirthingservices.com. Let me put my website in there. You can meet our doula tribe. We have labor and postpartum doula classes where we learn about breastfeeding. I share a lot of thank you, sis. I share a lot of good breastfeeding tips in there to be able to support clients. I also do individual breastfeeding classes. Let me put my website up here so y'all can check me out. And just kind of get a background of who I am, what I do if you're not familiar with me. I do a lot of different things, but it falls under the hat of women's wellness. But today I am serving and wearing the hat of lactation counselor because it is World Breastfeeding Awareness Month. But if you want to read more about what I do and who I serve, you can definitely check out the website. I'm trying to get it typed in here. And while I do that, I'm going to answer another question. Thank you, sis. Love you, love you, love you. What do you use instead of cow's milk? So many different options, but if you're looking for something that's nutritious, you may want to do with a sesame seed milk or hemp milk. People like oat milk because oat milk is really creamy. If you don't have any problems digesting oats, it's really creamy and it mimics like that milky like taste. Not a big fan of almond milk. My husband loves almond milk, but I'm not a big fan of I wasn't a big milk drinker, period. I like dairy products. Like I was a cheese eater. So that was my thing. But even now I've like reprogrammed myself to I don't even want the fake cheese. Ugh. But anyway, so what I use instead, what I would recommend instead is like a cashew milk, maybe a hemp milk, a oat milk, and you can just try them out and see what works for you. I know that cow's milk is also referred to as sweet milk because there's a lot of sugar in it, so it's a little sweet. So you may want to try like the vanilla cashew milk or something like that because it has a little sweetness to it, but You don't want to cook with a vanilla cashew milk. You want to just have regular cashew milk if you're using like a recipe, because vanilla cashew milk and some vegan mac and cheese or something, no bueno. Not good. Not good at all. It's sweet. Very sweet. So yeah, I would recommend like a nut milk, like a cashew, sesame seed, oat milk, um, yeah, and if you're looking for something that's sweet, like if you're gonna eat cereal or something, then you can use a vanilla flavor. All right, let me put this up here. I was supposed to be putting the website, and I'm talking. Let me put this in here. All right. Any more questions before I head out of here? This was fun. I gotta make sure I'm back on point for next cycle, because I was like, we launched the class on the 15th. So y'all check out the Podia site, because it tells all about the womb wellness class. All right, here we go. They go to the website. Y'all can meet the tribe, check out the doula tribe, check out the classes I offer, about the certifications, all of that. And if you're knowing someone that's needing lactation support, I do consultations with follow-ups for $25. They're virtual, very, very helpful, very beneficial. My families usually learn a whole lot. I appreciate y'all so, so very much. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Y'all are the absolute best. Y'all have an amazing rest of your Thursday. It's a full moon, y'all. Do what y'all do. Embrace this energy. Be well. I know it can get tense out here with the day to day. It gets dense. Just be light. Just be light. Show kindness. Show compassion, and know that everybody just doing the best they can, even if it don't look like your best. All right. So I love y'all so much. Y'all be well, and I will speak with y'all next cycle. Namaste.